Hey, if you're like me, you've ran across a man or woman that, man, they just seem like they have life almost figured out. They're grounded, they're balanced, and it just seems like when situations get tough or difficult, they just somehow know the answer. They can be characterized as just being wise. And I've often wondered, how do you get to be wise? Like how do you develop into that person that, man, you just get around them and you just feel just a sense of just stability and wisdom about them. So I began to look at scriptures, and I went back to Proverbs and been doing a lot of reading about the behaviors, actions, and attitudes of wise people, and kind of counterbalancing that with the scriptures that talk about foolish people. And really, I think it comes down to an attitude or approach of life that leads someone to wisdom or to foolishness. And so I'm just going to share with some of these things I've discovered about wise people and foolish people. So first of all, we see in Scripture, and it bears out in life too, that wise people actually accept instruction. They value people speaking into them, and Scriptures even say that they love discipline. And there's just a perspective there that they understand that instruction and discipline from others leads them in the right direction, and they're willing to accept that. Whereas foolish people we see in Scripture, they actually ignore instruction. They don't want people speaking into them, and they hate to be corrected. So you have just these folks that want to be corrected, and they accept instruction, and then other people hate instruction and hate correction, and they ignore the advice of others. So wise people listen to advice, and foolish people think they don't need any advice. They already think they have everything figured out. But check this out. In Scripture, we see that wise people listen to people that are older, and they listen to their parents. There's just some things that older people and parents have figured out that they know that younger people just can't see. And so to be wise, we have to be willing to accept the instruction and advice from older people, whereas in Scripture, the foolish people actually mock the older people, and they actually mock their parents. Foolish children mock their parents. So again, it's this approach to life and perspective of others. Do we heed their advice, seek their instruction, accept their discipline, or do we think we have it all figured out, reject instruction, reject advice, and even mock those that offer it? Now, this is the thing, though. We see in Scripture, and it bears out in life, that wise people end up receiving honor, and they end up in a place where their life is very profitable, and they even lead others to life and profit and prosperity even in Scripture. But in Scripture, and it bears out in life, you see it every day, foolishness actually leads to poverty and shame. And eventually, foolish people even self-destruct. This whole attitude of rejecting rebuke, ignoring advice, hating correction, think you don't need to listen to anybody, mocking those that try to help you, that leads to a place of destruction. And it actually creates an environment where those kind of people lead others astray into a life of destruction and shame. They eventually just self-destruct. So isn't it interesting? Look, wise people rely on other people to help them get better, and they submit themselves to other people, their advice, and to wise counsel, and they accept and value discipline and correction. But it's the person that thinks they have it figured out, that reject all of that they actually end up destroying themselves. It's a self-destructive behavior. So look, this is what I want to learn. If I'm somehow going to be wise, if you're somehow going to be wise, we must get to the place where we love to be disciplined, we value correction, we embrace rebuke, we submit ourselves to our parents and to elders that know more than we do. We'll end up having a prosperous, honorable life, and we'll lead others that way. But if we don't, if we're stubborn and prideful, we'll self-destruct. I heard Scripture says this, that God raises up the humble, and He puts down the proud. But a lot of times God doesn't even have to do anything. Prideful people actually destroy themselves. I think that's true. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Man, may we be wise instead of foolish. May we accept instruction rather than reject it.